the audio comes through.
So Marielle, Marielle, sorry. Are you from Phoenix?
No, I'm from Oregon originally, Eugene.
Oh, no way! I'm from Oregon too.
Oh, no, where are you from?
Corvallis.
Oh,
Yeah. Very good. So did you just move here from there?
moved here in March. I was living in Seattle.
Okay.
I collected allergy,
Oh.
which
How's the recovery going?
it's been great.
Good. Gotta hear that.
Still not biking as much as I would like to be
Oh,
able to.
yeah.
But I'm getting there.
Okay. That's cool. I'm glad we got someone from the Northwest to try to help organize our streets down here. I mean, it's very, very different, obviously, but get some of that sense.
Yeah, how long have you been here?
I've been in Arizona, I think 8 years. Yes.
It's a lot sunnier than Corvallis.
It is. But Corvallis is so green and beautiful.
Is that where you came from, Corvallis?
Originally,
Yeah,
yeah. Western Oregon. Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, come
Yeah,
on.
that's about.
There, I think those two,
Yeah,
I think those two seats are open. Yeah, come on.
I don't want to be in this area.
You don't want to be behind the stage?
So nobody's not going to shoot the stuff out.
No, I don't think so. I don't have any visuals.
You know, if you're in transportation, one of my friends is
You good?
Hunter's Worthy. Okay, she's like big into transportation at OSU. Okay.
No, I
No worries.
I went to grad school in musician.
Oh, okay.
I actually went to St. Louis for 5 years
Oh,
and
okay.
then went to Seattle. So like my
Okay.
time in the Northwest was that was most of my life.
Yeah,
In and out for the last few years.
I got that. Yeah.
All right. Should we get started?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, to the mess.
Joe's in the back.
Wes, you're welcome up at the
Joe's
table.
in the back.
Join us.
Yes, please.
Joe's in the loop.
Joe's in the loop. Let's all announce that for you too.
Yeah.
Whatever, so we can get on with our Saturday. So welcome. It's been quite a while since we've had a meeting for a number of reasons, and we've been not going to say completely. I had a word in my head a second ago. But we've been still doing things. We've been going to the meetings. We've been running around one another. We haven't actually met for a while. So hopefully we'll get things going again and get moving. So I'll do quick introductions. But it's cool.
Stream is on, by the way.
Pardon me?
I'll let people know the stream is on.
Streaming is on. Okay, yay.
Oh, stream is on.
Woo! Hi.
So don't say anything you don't want
Stream to the
people to
universe.
hear.
Typically,
You should anyway, but especially when we're broadcasting to anybody with an internet connection. So I have a couple of almost Phoenix spokespeople, almost daily bike commuter, bike user, bike in general. I'm also with Rusty Spoke, the bicycle volunteer bike shop down on the south side of downtown too. So And then we'll move on.
All right, nice to meet you. I'm Marielle Brown. I am the city's new active transportation program manager. So I work with Joe, and I'm very excited to be here. So,
Thank you. Joe Perez, the bicycle coordinator for the City of Phoenix.
Dave, Vice President, IT guy, part-time bike valet person.
I'm Suzanne Day. I am also a Phoenix Spokespeople founding member, and I also work for Valley Metro, and they let me do the Valley Bike Month stuff, and it's really fun. So if you want to do an event in Bike Month, or if you need portable bike racks for an event, I'm your gal.
I'm Annie Eldon, a Phoenix Spokespeople board member.
Our work here is resident of development units my day job is about like that's why I really
RJ Price, CEO of Downtown Phoenix Inc. We're with PSP and what is supposed to be today. We actually have a remote partnership with PSP, both in co-hosting our monthly downtown tour and social bike rides, as well as collaborating on bike valet and special events.
I'm Sarah Weaver. I am the Government Partnership and our Business Development Manager. I'm very focused on the city housing department, and I'm working on to
What's the blue with the repeat target?
Okay, well, we'll get started. Talk about a few things that are going on with city projects, mostly from my personal view, and then I've had some conversations with the transportation department. Canal State is almost done from 17th Avenue to the southeast of Washington Street. Concrete's poured the whole way. Path lights are usually on most of the way. There's a section, I think it was from like Palm to Garfield, last time where the lights were out. I haven't witnessed it yet, but as of last week, all the signals should be on except 19th, 15th Avenues, Osborne. I think that's it. We're waiting on Valley Metro to be the curb cut at Central Avenue. And last time I contacted them, asked about a timeline for doing it, they said it didn't happen. So we will follow up with them again. One thing that comes in handy, there's kind of a, I call it bridge to nowhere, between just east and central between the two high schools. That makes it easy to transition, switch sides across the central easily. I did email Street with some concerns that I've seen along the path. 16th Street and Indian School uses the existing traffic lights for crossing. The canal cross is still close to the intersection. I asked about wayfinding signs. They said those are being reviewed by SRP, pending their approval to get put in. Because right now, if you don't know any better, you'll continue on the canal line and cut those corners off so they can use 16th Street. And since the canal wasn't part of the project, it didn't be paid. So you'll unexpectedly have dirt. And after some of the storms, it's really some trunks falling away right on the edge. So it's kind of a safety issue too. You take that canal and go take the corners away the way they intended. So they said that was off the design and that's what we approved. There's an ugly guy wire on the east side of 16th Street, just north of the canal. They said that's being addressed via a different project. It's supposed to do that via updates on it and follow them. I had some concerns with the Hawk and Thomas. If you're coming out of the quick trip, you're directly underneath the Hawk, and the bike path is to your right, and if you're a driver, you're looking to your left or in front, coming cars will not pull out in front of, and it would be really easy to turn into a cyclist. Right now, they put in a temporary stop sign with a yield pedestrians right where the driver should see it, and they said they're going to readdress that Hawk signal and maybe make a change. I don't know what they're really thinking there.
That was at Thomas?
Yeah. Right near, there's a light at 22nd Street they re-engineered and moved back so it connects to the west and south bank, if you will, of the canal. The canal escapes on the northeast bank. That's where the Hawk is. But they said if you're sitting, waiting to turn out that quick trip, everybody's looking left for cars and they're going to turn right into there. somebody's going to bring a cycle sign. But there is at least there's a sign there, and I don't know what their plan is for leaving there. My idea was to put a signal that's something similar to the sea. They've ripped out the concrete near that old bridge of Palm that's been there for decades, and I assume it was to replace the new bridge that city has planned. So the new updated bridge going over Palm Canal. So right now on the canal side is kind of torn up. Garfield Bridge that went in several months ago. There's a big hole where the bollard goes. Two cars are driving over it, and I said that's looked like a safety issue. She said, yeah, bollards let's go there, and they said they're going to have the concrete recovered immediately. I think that got really good. Going that way, I'm home that way, so get that back. Same thing with Vendor and 40th Street, as far as wayfinding, they said that there's some signs out to review, and hopefully that's up to you with that. Approval of the wayfinding signs there. That was not it's pretty obvious because it's so close to the street. You can see it. There's some signage. Last I heard, 3rd Avenue, they're supposed to start meetings next quarter, the first quarter of 2020. That one was in the books, and then they just realized there was a water sewer project that needs to be done first. So I guess they want to about the new ground after. We're about the new bike project to do the water sewer after. So. But I think they're ready to be meeting on that one next year. The other 3rd Street has the same thing. Anytime you know any more, please chime in from the city side. 3rd Street was supposed to be done by now, but then now there's a water sewer project there that's going to do the same. And if you have any troubles on 40th Street and doing any of those projects, okay, that's all. I sent a link to the email regarding all the stuff I've seen on Canal Street, so I figured I won't plug it too much. That's fine. I guess in those different projects, there are people so that they would be distributed, so you can still see model them or something. That's all I had on construction.
Do we know if 3rd Avenue and 3rd Street are at least have infrastructure plans that are finished?
I think last time I asked Mark about it, it's just, they give you the same answer every time. Well, they were 80%.
80%?
Whatever
Well,
that is.
that's better than 30.
But again, they've got to pull, they've got to look the street up for a water sewer repair first. So sometimes not.
Hopefully.
I did.
For sure, for that. It's nice about people. For me. What's that?
2021 is not that far away.
Yeah, so my little life so fast.
Right. Thanks, Bill.
2 meetings from now, I
Shots fired.
It's much or more amusing than this.
All right.
2021 to me is really as July 2020.
Fiscal 2020.
Yeah, fiscal.
That sounds optimistic.
Well, yeah, that's just how it is. City speak.
And one of the things I'm kind of glad PSP we got our report, we got our nonprofit status in September. So this is kind of our year kind of starts now, and that's also when the cycling season really starts.
Yeah.
So
Worked out.
PSP fiscal year.
Finish?
Yeah, what's the else is anything?
I had a
They have
good,
feedback on infrastructure.
I had a fun exchange with on Twitter. Someone at Streets tweeted about some award progress report thing, and then I asked if it will include an update on the bicycle master plan, and they said the T2050 report will include bicycle programming funded by T2050, while an updated bicycle master plan will include all bicycle program projects. We are currently in the funding approvals process to begin updating the bicycle master plan and hope to have a timeline soon. Yeah, so now the timing's interesting because it's now 5 years after for the absolute priority projects. They list 10, and just anecdotally, I think maybe 1 or 2 actually got done. But I don't really know where to go now other than it seems like we're back in the cycle of like ignore the plan and do a new plan without any accountability on what happened to the original plan. And I did note as well, all of the ones, some of them have been taken off the website and the ones that are still up all say draft. So I don't know if that's intentional or subversive way of saying, oh, no one ever committed to doing this. But I'm going to try and follow up that and maybe I'll put it in the newsletter. Just like, hey, these were the 10 must be done projects for the next 5 years, and it's 5 years later, and this is what got done.
Right. I mean, I would say that the vigilance of Phoenix spokespeople is extremely important to keep these projects visible, to keep the pressure on the city to do what it says it's going to do. There are 6 ways now to deliver bike projects in the city of Phoenix. T2050 mobility, which kind of encompasses the bike program a little bit, and that tweet kind of must be referring to that. There are developer-installed bike lanes. There are capital improvement projects such as Grand Canal, and that kind of overlaps with the bike master plan. There are traffic operations installed, like traffic calming and things like that. And fifth, and last count. Pavement maintenance is the other one, and the department has really shifted its focus on pavement maintenance, bike lanes. We're doing Earl Street from 3rd Avenue to 7th Avenue, 12th Street from Val Thomas. 12th Street's also, I think, on the bike master plan.
That was one of the top 10.
Yeah.
Must be done.
So, and 12th Street from McDowell Thomas kind of slipped through the fingers of a lot of people because it was classified as a local street for a long time, even though there's a bus route on it and a bike lane on it, and so it never got the pavement attention that it needed. Once that was identified, probably 2 or 3 years ago now, it got into the queue, and now it's going to get paved. So, a lot of this shifting gears agenda was sort of written while T2050 was being drafted. There's a lot of overlap between some of the projects. The department has shifted away from a lot of bike lanes on arterial streets, and possibly that focus needs to be brought back on the department to put bike lanes on arterial streets and freeways and other barriers. This is going back to what Bill was talking about with the Grand Canal. The Grand Canal has concrete all the way to Priest in Tempe. City of Tempe is working on a link in their Grand, a project called the Grand, that would get from Priest to the Grand. The Grand is also paved all the way to Washington Street. And once
you get east of 44th Street, you connect to the path on Priest, at Priest, or you're on the wrong side of the
not the Phoenix side, then. You go to the other side of Priest. But east side.
Yeah, south side, yeah, east side. South side.
And that's it.
Isn't there a conflict with the railroad property?
Not anymore. I mean, there was a problem with the railroad relative to the signalization and the crossing and the arms and whatever, but that's, everyone's kind of agreeing to look the other way.
But theoretically, I think now continuous east of 44th Street and then to the.
You'll get to Priest with City Phoenix ends, and then Tempe begins, and it's a dirt road essentially for about 500 feet. And that's sort of City Tempe right away where they're trying to figure out if they're going to put a road there, or a bridge, or some other kind of thing. And so City Tempe has to make that improvement. The improvement that the Grand development has made when they moved the canal, that's already completed. So City Tempe is now working on a project to put that last little slot of concrete.
Second one that we have
Every time Phoenix spokespeople goes to the budget hearings, things kind of goose up a little bit. And so thank you for coming to the budget hearings in April. Thank you for planning to come to the budget hearings next April. We should definitely be meeting with Phoenix spokespeople at City Hall during the day, during the week, if we can, or 4 o'clock on a Friday or whatever. But I mean, these issues are very easily overlooked. During the budget process, the pavement program came down and sucked up a lot of the money for a lot of projects, and it was unfair, I should say fairly unfair, grossly unfair. And there's still a lot of money in the bike program, but a lot of it's now being pushed toward 3rd Avenue and 3rd Street, 5th Avenue. Those projects are coming in to be quite expensive because the other infrastructure that's going in besides the bike infrastructure, like sidewalks, street lights, traffic signals, things like that. It's all making the project to be really long delivery.
Is the funding coming from, like, the funding for the sidewalks and the other infrastructure, is that coming from the bicycle funding, or is that
So,
from different funding?
so the department funding comes from gasoline tax, Arizona Highway User Revenue Tax. That's largely for street projects, asphalt projects. The T2050 project is T2050 funding is a sales tax. So that money comes to the department also for street maintenance projects, mobility projects, and technically bike projects. But they've been bundled up in such a way that the bike projects are not independent yet of mobility projects that include sidewalks and street lighting, and it's a very similar pattern that the department is starting to undertake where bike projects are tied to something else and therefore delayed and delayed and delayed. So I think spokespeople should be advocating for an independent bike program with independent money and independent projects.
I can understand that. At the same time, I think there is some perspectives from some people that bicycle advocates are only focusing on bicycle-related projects, and I think we really have to focus. We have to join up with other groups to support, like complete streets and whatnot, because otherwise, like, I've heard some people say that, oh, you don't want to work with the bike people because they're just going to focus on their own stuff and don't care about anything else.
People who want to stop drunk driving, work on drunk driving, they don't partner up with PETA and other groups.
No,
I think that it is important that all the advocates for mobility, for ADA access, for sidewalk, for walking, for anything except driving, it's important that everybody gets together. But if Dave's asking about bike projects, that's what's happening. Is that what you're saying is actually coming to fruit, where the department is working on projects that include everyone. And so that's why the bike projects get delayed, because then the sidewalk goes in, street lights go in, et cetera, et cetera. So the bike projects, as envisioned by the bike master plan, are just asphalt projects. Just adding bike lanes, using asphalt techniques to add bike lanes, and then protection and other things like that as well, but not back of the curb, only in the asphalt.
So are you asking us to support, like, adding in bike lanes to the roads that need them?
Well, so the bike master plan itself, identifies Dobbins and Maryland Avenue, identified Osborne, Missouri, all know what happened there. So if you look at Maryland Avenue, east-west, that road is largely finished, curb to curb, probably finished, sidewalks. And it's just asking in general for bike lanes to be extended to the crosswalks. Maybe there's a spot near the I-17 bridge where there's no bike lane. We definitely have to work on the Arizona Canal connection with the new 20th Street project. So those particular projects are a little bit less of a priority in the pavement maintenance program, which is really taking up a lot of time. A lot of my time at the city is identifying all these bike projects that are kind of throughout the city that are not on the bike master plan. So it's been really interesting to see, like, 39th Avenue is going to be made into a better bike lane. Parts of 23rd Avenue, I think, eventually have a better bike lane coming on. 40th Street as well. We're looking at hopefully doing some at 36th Street in the distant future relative to all these other projects. So it's really robust what's happening in the department for bike lanes, and it's not tracking with the bike master plan. The bike master plan update will hopefully address some of that and try and kind of be a little bit more accurate in the appendices as to when these projects might actually come because of the all the way to 2023. And then the pavement maintenance program all the way to 2023 ran up into 2020. And so all of those projects that were there for 3 years are now going to be done in 6 months. And not all the pavement projects have bike bike lanes, but that was a huge push for us this summer to catch up to that 3 years of pavement that got brought forward.
It's 10:30 and we're
Sorry.
still on our first agenda item. Let's do this. Dave and Bill, will you help me with a list of projects that need watching and badgering? And I will get it in the newsletter and we will get it out to our peeps and we'll cause some ripples and we'll get some motion. Can we do that?
Yeah, ready.
Real quick, go back to infrastructure. Something I forgot. I spoke to Lori Smith. She did like the okay. As it located Roosevelt, kind of knew this anyway between Central and 7th Avenue. They're wrapping that project up and will not be at bike lanes because they would have to take out the center turn lane. She said they're going to try to do some advanced training, but there's no details yet. Regarding Sharrow's, my request was to lower the speed limit as a compromise for not getting bike lanes, take it down to 25. Go up the flagpole, but I know that spot is narrow here.
They're talking about all the routes nearby alternate routes.
Yes, you mentioned that too. So maybe, down in the middle of the board.
But I'm hosting. So, please,
Send us the
make your
info.
voices heard.
Share it.
Yeah.
And that's just one of those spots you take
And you got that too, Suzanne, to come in a newsletter? Or is it coming up
Well,
this month?
I don't know when, it's not been scheduled yet.
Okay.
It's October.
Okay.
So.
That was sarcasm. That was sarcasm. Yeah.
And this is the problem. We wanted to share those. That's what it's all about traffic flow. Two of those two different. Traffic flow is great in this area. It's necessary, but this is the problem. Maybe and say we still need maximum traffic flow for cars is so.
What part of Roosevelt? What part of Roosevelt?
Central to 7th
Central
Avenue.
is set back.
Oh, that's fun, because that was going to get bikers. We were told that fast.
Yeah, there was that big plan, wasn't there, for 3rd
Yeah.
and 5th Ave.
Yeah,
That
because-
crazy,
It would be integrated
we were
with
fighting
the-
about that nuts, like
Yeah.
diagonal with specialized signaling
yeah.
and bike detection.
That was third avenue.
Yeah.
So now,
So it'll be right in the middle of that.
so now we're being told those lanes won't come in because they would involve the sacrifice of the turn. I thought they were going to get rid of left turn lane except flare at the intersection.
No, not left turn lanes.
Senator.
Center.
All right.
Happier topic. Let's hear from.
One more for infrastructure. Willow finally made enough noise at the budget hearing that we are on this year. We have $480,000 for a design of 35th Avenue between Village and McDonald's to the St. Joe's Crazy Crosswalk, which is both Thomas and also Fisher. So they have an entire design. As usual, it's like, oh, it's in September. But anyhow, we will be having public meetings, I assume, I'll let everyone know, we should be having
Jessica? Okay.
Well, I wish I was here to announce that we were partnering with the city on annual bike lanes. We are partnering with the city on an exciting project downstairs, in this, from where you're sitting right now, in the former Joss retail office space. We're going to launch in 2022, maybe late Q1. Q1-ish, a bike commuter space. It's something that's been needed for quite some time in Phoenix. Champions had bike commuter space, bike seller for, I don't know, 7 years, 5-7 years, something like that, maybe longer. So it was getting bigger. So it was high time that Phoenix provide that bike community to its bike commuters. So we are working with City of Phoenix and Valley Metro on building out that space. We're still in the process of finalizing some drawings. But what we haven't, what we're really excited about is opening up the RFP for potential vendors to come in and help run the retail aspect of the space. So So not only will the space be secure parking location for 76 bikes, it'll be staffed, but we also want it to be a retail center. So we're looking for a established local provider that has a familiarity with the downtown market and 2 years of existing business within the city of Phoenix. I'll let Jessica get into some of the find. Yeah. Yes.
So the purpose is the common space is essentially a membership facility where we'll have to buy a membership into it. It's $35 per day with home locker space, but before self-contained bedrooms. We thought about in-house sides, but it becomes a little bit more complicated when we talk about safety, right? So how do we make those in the bedroom to not be okay? Valley Metro is going to provide a lot of security for that space. It's all about that's part of it. The space itself is 3,500 square feet. Valley Metro will have a shared space with 21 members, a specific area that's will be locked off. The bike repair facility will be about between 12 to 1,500 houses that will be completely enclosed and locked off as well. So accessible to every people who run a bike repair shop. It's really important not to see security for those people. Yeah, and I think we'll
Oh no, I think that.
Yeah. So the initial group was a meeting on October 7th in the year, 5:30 to 7:30. So this is for any interested members who want to come and hear about basically what we're looking for in terms of the RFP process. The RFP will be pushed live on October 14th. It will be available on the CED website, and it was mentioned yesterday, as well as on our websites. Yes. Again, the very bare minimum requirement for entry is that you have to have operated a successful existing bike shop within the city of Phoenix. For 2 years. For 2 years. So great that people in Chandler and Gilbert have great bike shops. I love them. I respect them very much. We've got to turn the downtown market and improve that. Financial statements will be required. Business plan will be required. Sarasota Regional has extensive experience in vetting and working on some of their projects. And she has really fine-tuned the RFP to ensure that everyone understands very clearly what we're looking for, right? The other component to this is we are not 100% subsidizing rent. We can't. We're not profit. So Valley Metro is coming in, and they are leasing part of our space, which is fantastic. Suzanne can give you that very well about this.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Whoever the selected vendor is will obviously be rent. It's not going to be market rate rent because other vendors have some kind of $30 square foot retail space. So we'll be heavily, yes, heavily subsidized, but we'll still be leasing it.
Do you think limiting it to the vendors that only operate Phoenix is possible to set price on sellers? Nobody thinks it does.
Nothing like this. I mean, we see this as a new market, we understand that. We also want some of the within the city of Phoenix. The Phoenix itself, especially downtown, is such a new market, right? The other components of this, and this is a membership based, we don't necessarily want to manipulate other sellers or other places have been in mind. We want to have a slight difference to it to accommodate that downtown market. We talked about this extensively, you know.
Yeah, and we're fine with someone coming in who's had a shop, obviously, we know the creative concepts, they want to come with their own vision, and also have those pre-existing connections with the city of Phoenix. So, we're hoping that we get enough interest from city of Phoenix, bike different facilities or bike shops. Obviously, if we don't get any respondents, we'll have to readjust, but that's kind of our initial thought. And the business plan itself, we're asking for more of a detailed type of experience to be able to write. We put resources in there so that they know the free resources and help, so they can write a very innovative business plan that explains to us how they want to make this something unique. And we're really looking, as I said, for a partner. This is going to be a partner with us. So that's why we're having subsidizing events.
Possible, and we're partnering with CED on this. One of my organizations is funded by taxpayer assessments. We have to be very careful in this process and make sure there's a conflict of interest that we don't know. That's a really costly business, right? We have to be very good process. Sarah and Arjun and I will be sitting on the panel with the RFP. I shared communal area, a break room, with refrigerators, tables, so that the facility can use that as well as Valley Metro.
It's not a-
I'm sorry?
Is that something that?
Oh,
Oh,
no, no, no.
okay. Okay, I just understood the concept of that.
No, and I wish we had the finalized drawing, we know we're going to pick up, but it came to the, maybe restaurants and other spaces that are going down the road. So we had to screw the lines and get this correctly, it's something that's a pretty big difference when you start looking at things, but everything is going to be competitive. So the that becomes numbers will let you into essentially the story pipe and the lockers and the wet rooms. But the pipe up here will have full access to everything except for the document storage.
But we understand, of course, that eventually the state will become more permeable, so we are putting in the RFP that potentially down the road, somebody wants to go with vendors, wants to have that experience in regards to having a demo fee or something for users to come in. We're not rolling that out right away, but we would hope that whoever comes in has that interest down the road as we test the success of this pilot. I'm not the success of this in downtown. For those who don't know, our piece in here also Valley Metro is going to be putting into healthcare for the new station that's going to be non-running South Central. So this whole area is going to be basically blocked off for car traffic, which will make it a pretty heavily pedestrian, biking, busing location. So that's another reason why we have really good space for this space.
I think so too. I'm excited to have a pedestrian plaza, even if it's only a block.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Every time they close this one, they should just stay down.
Yeah.
It's lovely, isn't it? Yeah, I agree.
So whoever comes in here is going to have only access to the windows on the train and on their lights as well. So that's another really good thing from why the space is going to go for that. And why Valley Metro is going to get that.
Excellent.
It's
It's not like I made it happen. I knew like this much of what you just said. I'm super
We're getting
excited.
wrapped up in time for you to retire, right?
Yes, yes.
And you can volunteer.
Oh, no, we actually are signing, billboards on sign from our landscape. So as soon as I get those to Joe, we'll put it in front of guys, the design is in process. Because the guys are going to be, we don't have too many funds to fill in the construction for this. So what I desperately need is presidential work like your facility before I need anything else. That's your next thing. I need to make sure the wet rooms are functional. I need to make sure that there's adequate storage and space. And need to 5 lights down, 5 lights up. The storage for the lights themselves is 76. It's a company, it's a food design company that's been used in DC. We're building like a facility there that was actually shared space with a police partner. So really interesting concept. So I'm excited about it. The other part that we think is going to help make this very successful is a new building that goes up in City Phoenix right now downtown. It's like 100,000 square feet. Requires a new facility like this to be part of the building. However, developers and builders get a variance if they buy into a membership that already exists at a regular facility. They pay a discount.
So it's responsible.
We could, which I will also be looking at alternative and updated storage. It's not just this is the already one. The problem is, I anticipate it's going to move fast, really fast.
And that's anybody that proves a concept. We prefer to have to show that obviously there is a member's work from a member's standpoint.
Does anybody know how many bikes typically get parked at Bicycle Cellar during the day? Is it 75? Is it 100? Is it, anybody know?
We're going to just make that one.
Yeah, it's not that big. And I know Tempe is smaller than Phoenix, but they've got a downtown.
But they outbike
Workers. Yes, yes.
We have a lot more infrastructure in
Yes.
place right now, which we're still developing.
I'm just wondering how ours compares in size to theirs, whether, what will be big enough. Just wondering.
And honestly, I think it's when we get in there and then start the process, it's really important to Sarah's point of really understanding how it's going to be used and where it's going to be used. It sounds kind of that's something much fun in a very special way.
Very excited.
What is the city's involvement?
So the city actually helped us partner with Valley Metro. We've been working with CED to make sure that we've got protections in place. CED, because they hold our contract, it's important for me to have them in part of the
they impose the requirement that the prior experience for the applicant be only within the city of Phoenix?
So we did. Yeah, that was us.
Okay.
Yep.
I disagree, but thank you for owning it.
Yeah, for 100%. And again, respectfully, we're going to go through the RFP process and see how it shakes out and where it goes. I personally think based on my conversations with both city of Phoenix staff and other members of the user base, we have enough within the city of Phoenix that was on the RFP and have the qualifications. Because it's not just the city of Phoenix that's so important to us, it's also financial statement presentation and business plan. So, as an accountant and as someone who works in this, I need to really look carefully at whoever submits a business plan for this to ensure that they're capable of running it and they've got that.
And we're always open to not getting enough responses or any responses that go requirements. Iteration will be required. We just want to get at the starting spot. So nothing is off the table in any way. But we're really excited for this. We hope that there's great feedback that you guys can do in the process. And yeah, it's something that we're really
And I think one of the reasons that we were trying to run late on the project is because we're more flexible.
Yeah.
We can do a little bit more freely and nimble throughout the process and learn as we go. Whereas the city might be a little bit more stringent and limited in how much they can.
And in our
Taylor,
city,
the process.
they don't get responses or something happens a couple of years before we try it. We don't have experience. We're able to reiterate and try again. So that's exciting.
So why does it still?
And it would be late Q1, it would really ideal world, let's say like March 15th, 2020. But it's going to depend on the build out and partners. Yeah.
And obviously, when we're doing multiple partnerships, it can take longer.
Yes.
It's not just us running the space. We have to negotiate with the architect.
We need to do something during Valley Bike Month. I like that.
That would be,
Yeah.
yeah. And what I would ideally love is at the people's meeting, because everybody in this room is so invested in like your space, obviously. But also just people who be a bicycle about time and facilities. If you guys want to be part of the people's meeting to kind of talk through with the future members in the room and see what's really important, this is what people believe as a space we're going to work for and that would be really helpful for us too. So again, it's 5:30 to between 7 and 11:07. So now, once we get everything finalized, we'll send out the applications.
And the scoring sheet for how we're going to weight each candidate is very transparent. It's full of what we're doing on that to see how we weight every candidate and exactly what we're doing for.
Okay, I will be bothering you for information for the newsletter, for PSP's newsletter. And we better move on because, yeah.
Sorry, I have one. Is there any estimate for how much the membership would cost?
How much rent? Sarah, I understand that you're doing that.
It's going to be heavily subsidized from market
You're
rate.
talking entry members.
Membership.
Membership, absolutely, remember, we're not controlling any of that.
Okay.
Whatever the vendor is selected, all we have to say then, obviously, the meetings obviously we love this in downtown. The vendor will control the safety element, the spaces utilized by people who are meeting. Not someone wants to throw their bike in the space and then just leave it there and others get out of it downtown. So we will ask that whoever the vendor is, that goes very carefully. Kind of think of what you have to get to the library card and the partner will go into the line. And that's pretty close to what we hope to see. However, at the end of the day, it's going to be
Okay.
yes.
So their business, the only people that we stipulate are only certain hours of operations and different things. Other than that, this is an expansion for the business.
And my cards are up front. I'm Jessica Hudson, and it's not in the Jessica. There's a few questions. Or you can just ask me, feel free. Yeah, email works, phone works.
And you can direct message to me, but Jessica is the only person who can actually feel that deep about the process itself. So I'll be shuffling on the What are the anticipated hours for the benefit card?
Joe, I'm sorry, can we move on?
Yes, and all of this will
We
be
get our
RFP.
information.
Yes, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, all of these will be RFP. So yes.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, Marielle is next up.
Hi. Hi everyone. I don't have anything super official. I'm just going to come and introduce myself. I am a bicycle and pedestrian planner. I got my master's in transportation planning at Cleveland State University, so that's really heavy focus on bike ahead. That's been my life goal to be a bike planner, and I actually did it. So I spent 5 years after grad school. I spent 5 years in St. Louis working at TrailNet, which was at the time the largest bicycle pedestrian advocacy org in the nation. I was working as a planner, but I also got to do lots of cool stuff like urbanism and pushing for more traffic calming in St. Louis. We got to get our first protected bike lanes in. So I've done a lot of really fun stuff. I had it fun. And I've been partially most of my life. I moved to Seattle and worked at King County for a couple of almost 2 years. And I actually developed some type of red mold allergy. I got really sick when I was in Seattle and I moved here for the sunshine. So I'm getting a lot better. But if you don't see me on a bike every day, it's not because I'm not committed to bikes. So I'm to say that. But yeah, I've been biking around Phoenix, starting to work at the city. It's been a lot to take in. Working with Joe, who you all know, as he has previously explained, like we've been really focused on the accelerated maintenance program for the last 12 months. I don't know how many months, but for my last 5 weeks, it's really been all I've gotten a chance to work on. But there are a lot of great opportunities coming out of it, and for Earl Street needs. And then, other than that, I don't have any great updates to tell you. I'm still too new, but we are working on creating what the active transportation program looks like for the city. So my official title is active transportation program manager, and we will have an active transportation program. When we get the accelerated pavement maintenance program a little bit more sorted out, and things are on the ground, we'll be working a lot on and I think that will really be a chance to talk about how do we make sure our streets are safe for walking and biking and accessing transit. I'm excited. I can't but my next task is to figure it out. And my plan is that really, it will be an opportunity for us and for what people want. So I'm excited. Also, the bike master plan I think will be a great opportunity. The bike master plan update will be a great opportunity to get more community engagement and try to start that conversation and get everyone in the city listening to the needs of people who bike, walk, and take transit. And just to finish the loop, the funding that tweet was talking about was through NOAA.
Okay.
So they're giving us the funding amount for the bike master plan.
Oh, it's significant.
Yeah, it's
It should be enough to get a lot done.
yeah. So it's been recommended, but the board still has to vote on it. So.
Is this update an update to the plan or an update to actually put things on streets? That's what I never quite understand.
Oh, it's an update to the plan. So
Okay.
it will be. It's certainly not enough funding to put anything on the ground. That's
Yeah. The funding that the tweet refers to is for the update to the paper plan. But I
what I feared.
anticipate that part of the paper plan is going to have a work plan associated with it, acknowledgement that the 6 ways to develop bike lanes and try and figure out, okay, if pavement is coming in 2 years on Oak Street from 32nd Street to 40th Street, that will be the delivery vehicle for Oak Street for that section. If no pavement is scheduled on Oak Street from 40th to 48th Street, in the foreseeable future by mobility, by pavement, by developers, by traffic ops or CIP, then the bike master plan will then identify that as the delivery vehicle and we'll have to find money for that basically through the CIP. But the bike master plan has its own construction funding as well, but it does become a CIP project through using bicycle money.
Bureaucracy, got it.
Well, it is. It's a lot of bureaucracy, but it's hopefully well managed. Whereas the appendices sort of try to identify. The appendices have different, like Appendix A, B, C. Say C was 2022, then it would say pavement maintenance, bike master plan, etc. So there's supposed to be 5 to 6 delivery vehicles in each appendix to tell you kind of how it's going to get funded. And that it's far away in 2023. You can't predict traffic calming. You can't predict developer stuff. So in the outer years, the appendices shrink down relative to those particular deliveries. So it's quite nebulous, but we try and get it to be more prescriptive. And of course, when water comes in, once one of their projects, the office is pretty.
So the original vice master plan was part of the form was what's the big process here? Citizen committee, or outreach,
We haven't written so yet, or something, so that's kind of TBD, but there will be a outreach process. We don't know how that's going to be structured yet. But it will be there. Some people will have three committees, what that structure will look like, but if you have thoughts on it, please let me know. I don't think we have the scope yet, so it's still open. If there's something you've seen that works really well, and we're open. We want to do this training process and this outreach process. The other thing that's exciting about that vision program, the city of Phoenix is interested in starting to do more demonstration projects so that we will, usually we can get a little bit more creative and say, okay, let's try out this new type of infrastructure, this new, there are a lot of questions about how the city will operate safely. Let's see what it looks like for a few months before they do that. I've seen that in the past in other cities and really good tools.
So that, like, for example, can be, see if the bike lane is going to work, but they only traffic out, they just close the lane of traffic. That apparently.
I think it would be something like that. Probably traffic like we don't, it's open, but there is interest in stuff and figuring out what that means. So we can projects and this will be very interesting. Similarly, that I've seen. Really good.
Experiments per se, construction. So all over downtown, lots of construction shuts down. Sometimes roads, but specifically lanes. We don't have on the road. Yet, when construction ends, the lane comes back, and it should just be converted to a bike lane. Like here on Washington Street, up on 3rd Street, I was like, one time, but it's not, it's disappeared for construction.
For years.
Years. Everyone's fine, and it goes right back to being common. So you don't even have to do active experiments. Developers are doing it for us, and then we just go in and try.
That's a great idea.
It's frustrating that on First Street, Block 23, streets above the gardens and a lane, because of the shutdowns that happen in Central. But Central shuts down every winter. Shuts down frequently on weekends. Everyone's fine. So it seems like streets is looking at the actual experience.
Analysis during street closures to identify where people are detouring to, and if that detour can be made more obvious by doing exactly what you described, replacing the lane with a bike lane or a public bike lane with a bike lane. It's been sort of evading my attention for a while.
Yeah, and I think, now that we have the whole capacity, that opportunity is a little bit like that.
Yeah, that's an expansion for the active transportation department, right?
It's very
Exciting.
It's very, very, very exciting that there's another person in the department.
Not just you.
Right. It's really sweet.
Well, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
All right, we're at an hour. We better keep moving. Annie, talk about the bike bazaar, please.
Okay, Bike Bazaar seems to be going well. We have 17 vendors signed up, a combination of art-focused bicycle people and, okay, so for anyone who doesn't know what Bike Bazaar is, Bike Bazaar is a partnership that we do with the Phoenix Public Market to have a bike-themed market corridor, I would say, in downtown Phoenix. This year it'll be on October 26th. It'll be during our what we like to call Biketober Month or Phoenix Bicycle Month. And so the market provides the space, we do the Phoenix spokespeople does the outreach, we got vendors, and then we also do the publicity to try to bring people there as well, just to build bicycle community and bring art and the farmers market and beautiful weather, because it'll be beautiful then, together. So we have a combination of people who are arts and crafts focused, like making art or crafts out of like old bicycle parts, or making art that is like a picture of a bicycle or things like that. So we have a combination of that. We also have some actual like people who have lots of bike stuff coming. I think that, yeah, swapping. It'll be a bike swap as well. So it's a combination. So yeah. Some people, vendors signed up. I think a few other people are interested, including Rusty Spoke. So
Rusty Spoke's gonna sign up any minute.
I can feel it.
It's not automatic.
I know. We've been including you the whole time. Don't worry. But yes.
So somebody reached out to me, I think my name is Sarah, and I don't remember who
Okay.
regarding, is there a ride associated with the bazaar?
We hope so.
Is she, okay, she asked for some giveaways and stuff, and they had some like lights and
Oh, cool.
She did reach out to you. We had, I want to say, 3 people who said that they would lead a ride to the Bike Bazaar. I reached out to them and have not heard back, but I am working on them. And Spencer, Morgan, and
Michael Morgan.
Morgan Morgan.
And not Jeff. John. And
Yeah.
the others.
Yeah, we are expecting to have a ride to the Bike Bazaar. Yes.
I don't know.
He's from Jeff. Jeff. Okay. Yeah.
We'll keep you posted.
Yeah, I don't want to work.
Yeah. So there. Yes. But I think he said it'd be better by October. So we do. Someone did create a route for the bike ride. I haven't really heard, or apparently no one has really heard from him since, a month or so ago. So we have a route possibility, we have a possibility for some leaders. We're just trying to find out if they
Got
will
to strong
come
arm
to
somebody into doing it, because we will be down there running
Yes.
booths, so.
Yes.
It's all right, we will appoint lieutenants and we will make that happen.
Yes. And
Possibly Joe.
oh no, Joe will be running the booth.
Oh, that's right,
down
you'll
there,
have a
yeah.
booth too.
Oh, he'll be running the
Running
booth.
booth.
So, yeah.
Okay.
And speaking of which, I am both belonging into school right now, so Suzanne will be taking over. Suzanne and Joe and Sarah will be sort of taking over the
Outreach
the
to
main
the
point.
vendors and,
Yeah, main point people. So you can funnel them through me, and I will pass them on to.
So we hope to see you there.
Yes.
All right. It's you.
Yeah, so, we covered the lines with 3 nights before Christmas. Christmas tree is Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Right. At least for the last year was the first time we did 2 rides. So we ride on the first night, we still organize, which means we can the park, beer exchange, and then the second night we actually advertise for the little kids club, we have Santa Claus, we have everybody with reindeer, and have a meeting inside the little park and talk about it. So I went to the beginning of this year, I thought it was nice. I just wanted to make sure people are really nice.
Just talking to it, maybe put schedule should do the family on Sunday.
The challenge is that in many streets in Willow, we're doing a preliminary, we've already a block party. So you're like spending an hour, assembling preliminaries, distributing them, and then like getting everything home. So the idea was to make preliminaries feel cinematic in Willow, like that people out of their house doing stuff. So that might, I think we have less.
He said something like my only thought was Monday is already got they can combine the adult right order. Oh, we do, and this is what we do.
Juliet and Santa Claus dress up. But, so
Everybody obviously is still looking at the whole point of it.
yeah, I would plan on the adult either Sunday or Tuesday if you can, and then just
It's
switch it.
Christmas Eve, so-
Tuesday is Christmas Eve, I'm
Well,
on.
I'm just saying, I mean, if depending on when you want if you want the kids to be on Monday, great. If you want to be on Sunday, not as great as it could be if it was Monday. If you have to pick one of the two for the kids, that should be Monday. An adult would be on Sunday.
So we will program this and
Probably
put it on the
Friday.
newsletter.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
But I got money from Willow this year, so I'd like to at least purchase some lights, that you can wrap around your bike frame, like little tires, like invite people out a little bit earlier, they can buy them at cost, only like $1, $2. So that, like, last year what was really nice, at least because I went to the second night, was that people were coming out of their house to look at the bikes, as much as the bikes were looking at the houses. Like, it was kind of a win-win community building situation. So I'm hoping to have the whole park event be a little bit more things to do, rather than just standing line and coffee, which is also really nice.
Yeah, it was good. It was spectacular. We were able to do two events in there.
Yeah, it's really, it seemed a little bit long, so a little bit, so they dropped off.
That's why you think you're never far from home.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. Are we gonna try to touch base with Tristan Black, Dave?
Yeah, she just got messaged me 4 minutes ago.
Excellent,
I will
excellent.
attempt.
Um,
I don't know whether to try.
let's see if we
I don't know if there'll be crippling feedback, but we'll see.
can. Anybody familiar with Filmed by Bike? Is that what, Jim, tell us what about it?
Well, so Film by Bike and Bicycle Film Festival are exactly what they sound like. People are using a camera to film some type of storyline about riding a bike, what it's like to build bikes, how bikes change their lives, that kind of stuff. And so that particular event is something akin to what the Film Bar does every October. At one point, Film Bar showed C.D. Herman, who's King Good Adventure, and then there was the Bike Film Festival, Bicycle Nomad, and Bicycle Nomad, Eric Lapierre, the Bike Film Festival, I think, or Film by Bike Publisher, and showed their 2018 and 2019 short series.
About bike ballet and those kinds of things.
It's ticking over nicely. I'd say it's the main thing.
Excellent.
Spencer's taken it over, which is a huge weight off for me. That's amazing. I think we're getting a lot more now people coming back to us, which is really encouraging. Like people who run events now consistently come back, sort of just like, hey, you're good to do it right. So we've already got 5 or 6 on the calendar. Would you like to say?
Volunteers, do you need volunteers?
Always need volunteers.
Encourage everybody to, how do you announce when you need, usually on our Facebook page, yeah?
Yeah, it's so they tend to fall into the 2 groups. There's the 5 to 6 people, in which case we usually just social network our way out, and then occasionally you have a whatever the big one was.
Big one, yeah.
What was it called?
Lost
Lake
Lake,
scale,
yeah.
and then I've got a separate mailing list in Mailchimp for former volunteers.
So if people want to volunteer, they should get in touch with you or Spencer to get into
Yeah,
that list.
we haven't historically had trouble because we just haven't had something of the scale of Lost Lake again. I think we're getting a lot more now. That's weird. People coming back to us. It's really encouraging.
Okay.
Spencer has been great. We've worked with Spencer on the events that we was a sponsor, and he's very proactive and he's great at helping me figure out what I can get volunteers or incentivize people to want to help out. So yeah, he actually takes our board goals and branding and puts them in place and sends them into town.
Really honored.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Awesome.
There'll be a request by the Rob Dollar Foundation for Valet on October 27th at South Mountain Park. For those who don't know, Rob Dollar was killed on South Mountain Park in the early mornings, Saturday or Sunday, now going on 2 years ago. So the second annual Rob Dollar ride is Sunday, October 27th. I've sent that out to a number of people who are friends with me on Facebook, but I'd like to see the spokespeople put that on their event calendar and invite all of their followers to go out and support the Rob Dollar Foundation. Some of you who may not know, the Rob Dollar Foundation has successfully lobbied the state of Arizona to do a bicycle license plate. We don't know if this thing's going to be Share the Roads and Trails. They have a partner as well in this. They are looking to now procure through donations about $30,000 for the tooling required to produce these license plates. Once these license plates go into production, they're vanity plates through the state of Arizona, and about $18 of the fee that you pay for your vanity plate will go directly to these two organizations. I've given money to them already. I encourage all of you to give money to them. It's a super important cause. The more money this organization can get, the more likely they can hire somebody full-time to do bicycle advocacy, pay somebody full-time to do bicycle advocacy. One of the lacking portions of this city and state is that there's an organization that's funded to hire somebody to be their permanent chief executive officer, et cetera. And so I think you're all for being here on Saturday, volunteering your time, and for all you've done in the past. It's really joyous to do this on Saturdays. But now it's time to put our money behind all of our grassroots efforts, get a license plate, and hire somebody to do this all the time.
Rob Dollar,
It is. They're the group that is the most committed to what they're doing because of Rob's dad, John, and they are the ones who went to get the license plate. This group has been in existence for a while, and I thought this group was going to kind of do it. But this group has had transition issues and transitory issues, people moving in, moving out. And the Dollar seem that they're going to be around for a while, plus they have the support of the legislature on the things that they'd like to see change. So, unless you know a better group or another group that is. Yeah, there's definitely a new group, and they definitely need some more exposure to what it's like to be a bicyclist. John Dollar, Rob's dad, doesn't ride a bike too frequently, and well, that's an issue that he is tied with, and largely the people who are part of the Rob Dollar Foundation are road cyclists. They like spandex, so there's that issue as well. So it is definitely a tenuous issue, but
They're the ones that are taking it
if
first.
they get the license plate, they're going to get money. And that'll be another stakeholder at the table representing the workers.
I do wish they hadn't gone. Are they settled on Share the Road?
No, they're not.
It's
sure.
not-
Okay.
It's not selling.
Yeah, because that screams at kind of that's bullshit.
It's-
Share the road is bullshit.
It's really a matter of motorists understanding that cyclists are entitled to the road. Sharing the road is not the right message, but give free feed. I mean, there are lots of things to do. I don't think you're going to license plate is going to say build protected bike lanes everywhere, even though that's really kind of where I think the city of Phoenix is going to try and start to go on some streets. But
That's so
but
catchy.
again, this group has come a long way from 4 or 5 years ago. Right. So just keep moving forward and figure out the next steps as they develop.
I can try and reach out again. Wasn't hustling them too hard, but I know they came to one meeting and gave us a spiel. And then I tried to, I said, hey, we made a Slack channel, join the Slack channel, and nothing. And then I sent a few emails and didn't really get too much. And I understand they're probably just focused internally rather than building a relationship.
And they're volunteers as well, like we are. So
I'm just cautioning against this group pouring in resources, whether it's even asking people to really give money to do things unproven, and I would suggest we're going down the wrong track.
Yeah, it counts as a business.
Yeah.
But I don't disagree.
can message them again. I guess we just have to keep trying to be.
I mean, they're another stakeholder, so we have to work with people who are in the bikes, whether it's on the trails or on the roads. I mean,
But you have to be careful about elevating voices that actually
that's why we have to work with
that massive themselves.
That's all we can share the right license plate program, well, if I get that covered.
It's an unfortunate choice.
But I said it's not
Okay. Yeah, I think that'd be. Might be a good talk. Do you think that's a good talking point? At least to extend an olive branch and say, hey,
Hey, let's get together and talk about this.
and then I can. There's that beautiful chart I found. I couldn't resist tweeting. Street Transport again did some like, as part of the scooter kickoff, and they had a big infographic with Share the Road on. So I know tweeting doesn't do anything, but it's good for my soul. But I found that.
Does a lot for our
I
president,
said it to
so.
somebody here.
There's an amazing chart. I can't remember the body that did it, but they looked at. It was survey based, so not the best collection, but not the worst. And it was, they were doing streets with Share the Road and change lane to pass, and bikes may use full lane and shallows. I think it was 4 or 5 different treatments. And then they were asking motorists and cyclists in various categories what they thought that meant. And it's amazing. Until I saw the actual chart, just how damaging Share the Road is 4 times, I think, as likely for a motorist to say, I think that means the cyclist must stay on the curb or sidewalk. It's unbelievable when you see the numbers. English.
Go back to, like,
Big steps.
Road,
go back to Mike Valley real quick. Tina, just a couple days ago, Mike Valley version year. And Susan concluded that to me to go there. They're meeting tomorrow night and ask me to try and go back. If I'm not wrapped up with that number.
It's down there. But,
No, they're meeting.
but is it for a thing?
But I think they're consistently doing Mike Valley, but they're getting that as well.
Okay.
So
A rival gang, huh? It's not okay.
I don't know if they come into the meeting tomorrow, but I'm gonna ask them to keep me in the loop.
So for Valet,
And then by doing something you guys can do.
Rob. So we got Rob Dollar and cool. Oh, that's good to know.
Almost 11:30. Anybody have burning that you need to say?
I had one question. Do we know, I tried to resist asking earlier, do we know whatever happened to the Citizen Transportation Commission? Do they still have public meetings?
They canceled the August meeting, but it's usually the third or fourth Thursday. Yeah.
Is it supposed to be on, because I found the CTC page on Phoenix.gov, but there's nothing on there. Awesome. Is anyone from UPD going? Cool. Hey, how do you think we should find out when a meeting is? Like, I literally, not even as a PSP person, I would like to go and I have no information. More a general appeal for
If you Google CTC or something like that with the site phoenix.gov, that searches the searching phoenix.gov website, meetings, it'll be on the public meetings webpage that the city has. That's also
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So one of the things, look at the back agendas, look at the prior public notes, public agendas or minutes. It's usually a Thursday, and it's usually at 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock. 5:30. Right. Well, that's also correct. Yeah. So in the minutes, in the minutes, there's the staff contact. So you got to put the minutes.
Ooh, okay.
Yes. And then that staff person put you on a list. It automatically emails you the agenda. When the agenda's created.
I remember I signed up for that before, but I don't know.
Maybe they called you this.
Yeah. Okay, I'll do that. That's a good idea. Email people who from other ones.
A couple of events real quick. Second Saturday's going to be good. You should definitely come to that. It's more people like do this regularly.
So that's the ball, that's what
Saturday, October 12th, Grayson's Tax Bar is hosting a fundraiser for Rusty's Hope. So we've got a white prom type raffle going to a bunch of mostly gift cards and things that we have some other merch that we're going to.
Yeah, was that the same one Spencer asked me to?
Probably. Saturday, October 12th. I think Dave and your band, play.
I wasn't paying attention to what's happening.
Grayson's Tax Bar for
Oh yeah, yeah, we're playing.
Yeah, and I think there's another live band there, and then there's a DJ that's going to keep each going in between the live performances. The only thing I don't like to do, we only get proceeds when you buy another highlight. Because that's a highlight one draft, though, even I can drink that. It's a hipster bar, so that's what we do. But anyways, we'll get $1 from every highlight sold.
I'll write you a check and drink
Right, that's
my
what I
beer.
said. That's what I want now. For every beer I might put a buck in the chip
Yeah.
breaker. So that's the raffle, and obviously we're going to be, just giving a pitch, looking for volunteers. Money's important, but getting people to donate time is much important. We don't have a regular schedule, but we periodically, and I would say frequently, been setting up the public market to sell bicycles. With our good mics, and Spencer and Al, the Armstrong husband, is doing a great job getting our nicer bikes cleaned up and selling. We've been raising a ton of money with that. We're anticipating a rain increase, so we're getting ahead of the game on that. I had something else to say, some questions, but I lost my train of thought. Anyways, but yeah, if you come out for it, there's events out there already for the event as well. And will we do anything? Oh yeah.
So that's in the nighttime, the second Saturdays in the morning.
Right.
Okay.
And I'm thinking about setting up maybe doing a short ride to end it races. I haven't decided yet.
Okay.
Okay, we'll get second Saturday that morning. I believe the event racing starts at 6, and I think we get proceeds to 10.
And only from buying Miller High Life.
Well, we'll get jar.
Okay.
There's going to be a raffle as well.
Pardon?
Oh.
There'll be a raffle.
Yeah, it's in the raffle.
raffle.
Yeah, so we've got a ton.
Okay.
We've got 15 or 20 prizes lined up.
How much are tickets? The raffle.
We're figuring out, we'll probably the standard of buck each, 6 for 5,
Cool.
15 for 20, or whatever
Yeah.
we did like on.
There you go.
Oh, and the other thing too, tonight at Bicycle Cellar, they're doing a raffle for a big bike trailer from Surly. And Rusty Pope is also getting proceeds from that. So if you're not doing anything this afternoon, put on Bicycle Cellar, Surly can be there demoing some bikes and raffle off this trailer. Rusty Pope gets the proceeds, and I think eventually they're going to go over to Boulders.
And then come back for downtown pebble around at 5.
No, that's the Bicycle Cellar is tonight.
Oh, that's right, that's
Pebble
tomorrow.
Around tomorrow.
But you can go to the Ace Crew Dog Festival press room before and then work it off during the
Right.
I'm very responsible.
Yeah.
Really great.
Great. Thank you everybody for coming. We're gonna get back on, I think we're trying to get back on track this fall. We're more regular. Start aggravating the crap out of our.
Yeah.
They don't like more home SDG.
I was so surprised the first time I saw that in a document. I was like, really?
Yeah.
You know, that's the one department that doesn't use the acronym.
Yeah.
We get